The Anna Karenina Syndrome, Obsessive and Uncontrolled Love. Compulsive love is dangerous and all too often ends in tragedy and heartbreak. One of the most classic and tragic characters in literature was undoubtedly Anna Karenina. This figure was created by Leo Tolstoy and was one of the high society heroines of the 19th century. Nevertheless, she is far from a typical character from this era that would be difficult to empathize with, but we are actually able to identify with her emotional problems. They show that in an intense and destructive form of love, where you do everything for your partner, you end up being ignored, manipulated and abandoned. Anna Karenina is the story of a woman who lives a quiet life with her husband and son. But suddenly she falls in love with Vronsky, a handsome military man, for whom she blindly gives up everything, driven solely by her feelings. Their relationship takes place surrounded by an old and hypocritical society full of false values. Nevertheless, after Anna puts everything aside for her passion, even her own son, her lover, is bored. He has achieved his gain and now his feelings for Anna have disappeared. Anna's ending is the most classic and tragic reflection of love that no one should ever resort to: suicide. The Anna Karenina Syndrome today. Without you I am nothing. How many times have you not heard, or maybe even said this yourself? In fact, in the 21st century we see the story of Anna Karenina constantly repeated. There are many people who do not hesitate for a moment to leave everything for a new partner. In fact, it is often almost a process of personal degradation, where values and principles decline and where self-esteem and even identity are at risk. This behavior cannot be vetoed at all. Because love means sharing, offering and giving. It also means receiving from your partner, being a part of him or her. Reciprocity with balance and maturity is essential. We mention balance because you need to know how to set limits. Instead of doing everything for your partner, projecting all your happiness onto him or her, you must first value yourself and be happy as an individual. However, some people only perceive true happiness as having a partner. When they are single, they therefore feel desperate and helpless. It is dangerous to love oneself. You have to love yourself enough not to fall into an abyss when your emotional relationships break down for some reason. Of course, any breakup is a dramatic process from which it is difficult to recover. But if you establish a protective boundary to protect your identity, self-esteem and values, the breakup won't be so upsetting. The Anna Karenina Syndrome lies in the process of emotional emptying. In other words, you put everything you are and everything you have into your partner's pocket, with the implicit risk that one day they may well lose interest in you. Romantic love and real mature love. There is nothing more romantic than feeling loved. To experience the first phases of great intensity, where passion, sexuality and fantasies involving the other person constantly fill your being and your brain. Nevertheless, as they say, there is no greater enemy of passion than complete surrender. Gradually, cohabitation, obligations, and routine put aside the previously overflowing energy. Of course, love continues to exist. Undoubtedly, feelings are still present. But the blind intensity from the beginning loses its luster. At this stage, it should move from romantic love to more mature love. This is the real test, where the results determine whether or not one becomes united in a more compassionate and genuine way. The tragedy of Anna Karenina has its root in the moment when Vronsky, after getting what he wanted, finally experiences the boredom of the relationship. Anna is left naked, stripped of her former life, her social position, her family, her husband and even, perhaps most tragically, her son. She has left everything for her blind passion. What can she do? She is ostracized by society and hurt inside, in the most painful way. She chooses death as the only way out. death by throwing himself in front of a train. Protect yourself from the Anna Karenina Syndrome. Unfortunately, real life is full of anonymous tragedies characterized by the Anna Karenina Syndrome. For this reason, you must be careful and protect yourself. Romantic and passionate love is something extremely intense that lifts you up, envelops you in magic, and makes you feel more alive than ever before. As such, it is worth experiencing. However, you must experience it with maturity and balance, as you must love yourself at the same time and not destroy all that you are.